Hello and welcome to Transformational Tuesday here on Deb TV, Dynamic, Empowered, and Bold. And I'm so excited to be back with you again. We are going to make a regular habit of transforming our lives. And today I am super excited because we have a wonderful, very inspirational guest who is a dear friend of mine and who has been a coach and a mentor and an inspiration to me, and I know is going to be an inspiration to you. Her name is Dr. Cindy Brown. Hello, Cindy. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for today.
I love it that she's in her office. I feel like the doctor is in. I almost put that up. You remember Charlie Brown where it said the doctor is in?
I am in officially.
You guys are going to get an amazing session, better than any Bachelor or whatever you can watch on TV. Put that on TiVo and tell all your family to come over. In fact, share with your Facebook friends. Get on to this live stream because in the next 45 minutes, you are going to learn strategies that are going to help you to let go of that negative self-talk. I can't tell you how many conversations, coaching sessions I've had with this woman, and I honestly know that I wouldn't have a business, that I wouldn't have my sanity, and that I wouldn't have so many blessings in my life if it wasn't for Dr. Cindy Brown. So let me formally introduce her, but you won't take my word for it. You're going to experience it for yourself. Dr. Cindy Brown is best known for her energetic and unwavering passion for helping people to manage their behavior, relationships, and to live better lives. Dr. Brown developed specialized skills for reading human behavior and helping others solve problems early in life, including mental illnesses and addictions. She is a behavior and addiction specialist, also specializing in communication and relationships. She has a doctorate in clinical psychology and a master's degree in counseling psychology, and is licensed in the state of California as a psychotherapist. So when I tell you the doctor is in, the doctor is in. She's worked in a variety of settings, has a very, very successful private practice here in Los Angeles for many, many years, and she continues to be in demand today as a coach, therapist. She also is an amazing speaker, speaking corporately, also at conferences, and she is the author of the award-winning book, which I have right here, The Cinderella System, where you can learn how to manifest your soulmate. And she is going to talk about how you're going to be able to let go of anxiety, worry, and self-defeating sabotage so that you can have excellent self-confidence, great communication, and relationships that leave you satisfied and fulfilled. So please help me welcome Dr. Cindy Brown.
It's great to be here. Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, if you're watching the replay.
Exactly, exactly. And I did mention that those of you that are on Periscope, she is Periscope's favorite doctor and is about to be speaking at the Periscope Summit with all the top Periscopers. Can I say that? Is that legal?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
I won't tell you the topic yet because it's still in development, but yes, we just decided on it today, so
awesome.
It's a little secret, but.
So before you get into giving us advice on how to live our lives, because we definitely need it, can you just tell us how you got into this field and a little bit of background about you?
Yes, well, it started way back when I was a teenager, actually. I was having some difficulty. I actually had moved from Northern California down to Southern California, and it was a big culture shock, moving from a kind of a rural area to Malibu, which was a whole different atmosphere. I was very much bullied. I had a very hard time transitioning into the middle of 7th grade. I think I was 12, 13 years old. It was a very awkward time. And I remember having a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression because of this experience. I had problems with my parents, as a lot of teenagers do, and my mom suggested that I go see a therapist. So I went to this great gal over in West LA, and she was an art therapist, and she was awesome. I actually really disliked going, but I liked it at the same time. You know, as a kid, you don't want to do that. You don't want to cry and get all your feelings out sometimes, but my parents suggested it. I had a really good experience. It really helped my relationship with my family and in school. And so then later in life, I thought, you know what? I had such a great experience. I want to help people. I want to be that person that helps kids that are having a hard time. I want to help parents know how to handle their kids. I want to help people with depression. And, you know, I had a lot of mental illness in my family. I had, my mother was a prescription drug addict, and I dealt with a lot of inconsistency and issues in my family, and I had a lot of background to deal with. So, hey, you are given, thus you may serve. So I was given these experiences so that I can serve. So here I am right now.
Oh,
I deal with a lot of, yeah.
I never knew that. I learned something new.
Hey, I don't always tell everybody my deep, dark secrets.
Oh, we're going to get them all tonight. Exactly. What I love about what you said, my mentor, Marianne Williamson, always says that our wound is our gift. And, you know, oftentimes we go through these challenges in life and we think we label them as that we're wounded. But actually, it's our gift that helps us serve the world, because if you didn't have that bullying experience, you may not have become a therapist and wouldn't have been able to, or your upbringing wouldn't have been able to help thousands of people that you've been able to help.
Yeah, and on my website, it says people think it's brilliance, but actually it's experience, because I've dealt with a lot of the things that my clients come to me about. And it's not, I'm not just book smart. I have experienced a lot of things that a lot of people have that come to me. And I feel like the right people always find me. And I'm able to serve because I have real experience dealing with it.
And just to give a testimony for Dr. Cindy Brown, and I'm not biased, I was able to actually quit my day job that I had studied for like 10 years to go to school to get my bachelor and master's degree. And I saw her and she coached me, and it really helped me to have the confidence and the courage to step out of my government safety, secure paycheck and to be able to go out on my own as an entrepreneur back in 2002. So I just want to thank you publicly for that, because I really, I really do appreciate that. But let's kind of talk about, you know, I think a lot of times as motivational speakers and as coaches, we talk a lot about success, but I think what really people need help with and what we need to be okay with is to talk about our failures and to talk about that negative self-talk, that worry, that fear, that doubt that both you and I have experienced, and how we can have tools to transcend it. So what, can you just talk a little bit about where does that come from and how can we deal with it?
Well, I think of it as contrast. And I think in the world, there's always contrast. It's like with light, you know, you can't have light without darkness. You can't have up without down. Most likely we can't have positive without negative. So, you know, it is the contrast of life is to have negativity in our lives, because we learn from the negativity because we don't like it, that we want to be positive. So it's you know, life is like a roller coaster, and it's part of life. It's part of life to have the ups and the downs. You know, I mean, yeah, we all strive to kind of be in the middle and not have too high, too highs, or too low, too lows. And I try to get people to work in the gray area. But even within the gray area, you still have this, you know, we have this little thing like this. We don't want the you know, the big swings, but in life, there is ups and downs because of contracts, and that's how we learn. Otherwise, I think life would be kind of boring. If it was, you know, if it was all good, you know, it's like they say, well, I don't want to say that, another icky day in Hawaii. You know, once you're in Hawaii I mean, you and I just spent some time in Hawaii, and boy, you think you could spend, you know, days and hours, and I think I could live there. But after a while, it becomes like anything, right? You know, and you need some contrast in your life. You need to travel. You need to go to some different places to be able to learn and grow and experience things. So my belief is, you know, negativity and, you know, experiences that we have that throw us into these places are just opportunities to learn. Like you said, the wounds. We have wounds, we have mistakes, we have challenges as a way to evolve. Think of all the things that have happened in the world, you know, the most awful and ugly things. The greatest and wonderful things have come out of it. The contrast, the most beautiful and the most ugly.
In fact, Dr. Greg Braden talks about in his book Fractal Time
I love
that it
that
was.
book.
Don't you love that book? I got
I
to hear
love
him
that book.
speak. Dr. It's Fractal Time. He talked about when we had September 11th that it was such the most, one of the most tragic experiences we've ever had. But it was also because they were measuring frequency. It was the
Yes.
time that we were at the
Heart math.
highest. Yes, we were at the
Yes.
highest frequency because there was so much love. So like
Yes. Compassion.
what you're talking about, that clarity through contrast, I think it's so important because I'll just speak from my own experience, especially being a coach and motivational speaker. I had the misconception that I was always supposed to be happy.
Yeah.
So you would always see me with a happy face. And when I felt sad or worried, I felt ashamed or guilty. Like I shouldn't have that emotion, that it was negative or that is bad. Can you talk about positive emotion and negative emotion and what you believe, whether it's good or bad or neutral, so that people can be okay with the full spectrum, the black,
Yes.
the white, and the gray?
Yeah, yeah, I don't think of feelings as bad or good. I mean, feelings and emotions and thoughts can have an impact on our lives, and you can judge that or have an opinion that that's bad and good. But in general, there's no book that says this is bad and this is good, right? Feelings, emotions, thoughts, actions, that there just are. Okay, so people say, well, that's bad to have anger. Actually, it's not. It just is. Anger is a function of processing something, and anger can be productive. As I would say, when I had some challenges when I was a kid, and I had some anger to work out, and that's one of the reasons why I have a punching bag in my office, is because I did some anger work at one point. And that anger was very important. It was important for me to let it out because I had repressed it as a child. I didn't feel like there was a place for all my emotions in my childhood. And so I stuffed it and I stuffed it and I stuffed it. And then it would come out at inappropriate times. So I found in my own therapy and my own work on myself, using the punching bag allowed me a voice through my anger to get it out and for it to be okay. So I don't define feelings as good or bad, even thoughts as good as bad. Now, you can have a judgment or opinion that, me having anger affects certain people or affects my relationships or affects my job or my friendships or whatever. But as far as a feeling in general, we need to stop judging feelings. We need to look at how they impact our lives.
So
Having them.
So the key is our perception and how we're labeling
Yes.
them. If we just
Yes.
accept them that they are, rather than good or
Yes.
bad, they are,
They
then we
are.
could go through them.
Yes, and a good point right now. You just triggered something in me, because men especially, and this is important, and Brene Brown talked about this. Men particularly are more comfortable with anger in society and in the way that, rather than sadness and shame and guilt. For men, having shame and guilt is the most uncomfortable thing for a man, and so a man will go to anger. Men usually have a more difficult time with sadness and shame and guilt. But if men do not process these, they go to anger and addictions, and
Ah.
weight gain and
And
cortisol, which then causes sexual problems. And it's all tied to sexual and sleep problems. So when we repress a normal flow of feelings and emotions, it turns into other things. So if you find a man that's quite overweight, or even a female overweight, most likely she has repressed and feelings that haven't been processed through. She judges them or is uncomfortable with the feeling of letting them go or processing them.
okay, so I know because you're an expert at relationships, sex, addiction, we covered some of those, but let's just talk about I think a lot of the people that are listening, they may think, okay, so I have this anger, I have this sadness, or I have this disappointment, or even depression. I know a lot of people that, with the past years of the economy have gone through a lot and have been depressed. How do we productively deal with these challenging emotions so they don't stop us from our goals?
Well, let me define some terms first before we get to that.
Okay.
Depression and anxiety. Okay, depression and anxiety can be chemical, but a lot of times depression comes from repressed feelings. So if somebody is anxious, has a expectation, a perception, a belief that is unmet, an expectation that they don't meet, you can then get depressed. I've had so many people come in my office this week talking about how mad they are that their life is this way, or they're not this way, or they thought they'd be here, and they have these expectations and fantasies and beliefs of where they would be at this point in their life. Then they get mad. Okay, so then they have all this anger and madness and sadness and shame and guilt and all these feelings. They don't really process it. So then what happens is they get depressed because there's this overwhelming amount of feelings that get unprocessed. They never undo the belief. They never realize that they have all these expectations. I went through it. I had a period of time where I was financially, right after my parents passed away, I went through a really bad time. Of course, I was in a lot of sadness, and so my business plummeted. Then I started judging myself. Then I had expectations. Then I got freaked out. Then I got anxious. Then I got depressed. And it was all snowballing because I had this expectation. I shouldn't be going through that. I should be doing this better. All this, I shoulda, 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 shoulda. So we have to understand there's definitely chemical anxiety. There's ADHD, that there's anxiety. There's, post-traumatic stress disorder. There's depression and anxiety that can be caused by chemical means, yes, and other means, and there's situational things. But a lot of times depression and anxiety is a symptom of things that are unprocessed. So we need to look at first. So the first step, so I'm getting back to your question, how do we deal with all these negative
Yeah, when you say
self-talk?
unprocessed, what do you mean by unprocessed? You mean unexpressed?
Unexpressed, unthought about, like, I had a client come in today and I kept asking him questions about it. And he's like, I don't know. I've never thought about it. I don't know. I just have it. I don't know. He's just like had it and never processed
Took the
it.
time to contemplate it. Oh.
Yeah. So the first step is, I'm going to acknowledge there's something going on in my life. I have some type of anxiety. I have some type of depression. I definitely am angry. I'm sad. Acknowledge your feelings. Let's all just make a commitment to acknowledge that feelings are. They're not bad. They're not good.
So step one, you can even just like write on a piece of paper.
Yes.
What am I feeling right now?
What am I feeling? Let's acknowledge it.
Acknowledge.
Let's just get it out in the open.
Judgment free. We're going to be in a guilt-free zone.
Exactly. So then the second step is, because you're acknowledging it, you're becoming conscious of it without judgment, just like you said. So you're going to say, isn't that interesting? I'm acknowledging and I'm becoming conscious and aware that there's some anxiety, there's some depression, there's some, I kind of talk to myself in a negative way. I judge myself. I have beliefs. I have expectations. Okay. So that's the first and second. Acknowledge it, become conscious without judgment. Okay. Have that thought, isn't that interesting about me? You're just becoming interested in you.
Interesting, not good, not bad, just interesting.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting about me? Okay. The third step is you're going to make a decision that you're going to do something different. Okay, so what you have been doing is you've just been allowing this all to be doing its thing. You haven't acknowledged it. You haven't been really conscious of it. It's just happening. You're angry sometimes. You get mad at these people. You bark at your kids. You don't show up for work. You drink too much at a party, or you take drugs, or whatever you do. So you're going to decide to do something different because now you have a different consciousness about yourself. You're going to not do you're going to catch yourself. You're going to catch yourself in your thought processes of being negative. You're going to catch yourself in judging yourself. You're going to catch yourself in judging your feelings, that they're bad or good or whatever. You're going to just catch yourself, meaning, isn't that interesting about me? I just had that thought about myself. Isn't that interesting about me? Okay. So that's that third step. I'm going to decide I'm going to do something about this. Then
hold on one second. So step one is acknowledge. Step two is
become conscious and aware without judgment.
So we're interested in it. And step three, and I like what you said, is because when you decide, you cut off all other possibilities. It's an empowering thing. Instead of being a victim of your emotion, you're in charge of it. Like, you're leading it, whether you like it or not. you're in charge when you decide something.
Yeah, you're setting an intention or a commitment to yourself to do something different. I know you talk a lot about intention.
And contrary action, really.
Yes. I remember you told me once. You said I was
instead of
going
laying
to
in bed all day, which when I've been depressed, I would love to sleep. I'm going to get up and get outside so I can get some sunshine so that I don't repeat that same pattern of being depressed. Okay.
Contrary action. And so the fourth thing is the contrary action. You're going to change the channel. You're going to do something first. So the third step is decide. The fourth thing, you're going to change the channel. You're literally going to think about, what channel am I going to change? I'm going to do something different.
Hey, love, Radio Amor.
Click, click, click. Yes. Like the easy button, you know?
Oh, I love it.
Click on something. Just change the channel, right? You're going to change the channel. Now, one of the ways, so this could be a fifth step, one of the ways to change the channel is to refocus away from. So remember, you move towards something or away from something. So you're going to move away from, say, criticizing yourself. So say today you catch yourself criticizing yourself when you make a mistake. You drop something, you break it, you get up late, you do something, and you hear this negative self-talk. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You're just a schmuck. You're not. And you hear that voice, that sabotager voice in your head. You're going to catch yourself because you're conscious now. Oh, wow, I'm doing that. You're going to say, shh. And you're going to say instead, it's okay. We all make mistakes. And you're going to give yourself, that's right.
I love that.
It's okay. Sometimes we make mistakes. It's okay. We're okay.
We're human.
Excuse me?
We're human. We make mistakes.
Yes, we're human. I thought you said we're Cuban. We're Cuban.
Maybe in a past life we were Cuban.
I know we had Cuban food on Sunday, so I'm like, yeah, that was good. Cuban food was good. So we refocus away. Now, another way of refocusing is to go through a sensory exercise. So if you're stuck on something and you're super angry and you just can't get off of it, some people say, God, you're so on it. Like, why are you so on it? So one of the ways of getting off of a particular feeling is to go through your senses. So we can try it now. So everybody right now, this is called the sensory exercise, and you're going to go through all your senses. So if you're focused on, say you're really anxious and you're beating up on yourself, what you want to do is say, okay, I'm doing that thing. I don't want to do it. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to close my eyes. Not if you're driving, though. Don't do this if you're driving or operating, electronic machinery. You're going to go through your senses and you're going to say, okay, you can open your eyes and say, I can see everything. I can smell things. I can taste what I've just eaten, maybe. I can hear the sounds. I can feel my bottom in the chair. And then you go through them again. So you go through all your senses. So now all you're doing is you're thinking about all your senses. So you're not thinking about what you were thinking about before. So it's a great way of changing the channel. You're on something, and sometimes we just need to change the channel. It's
like a pattern interrupt or something.
Yes, that's what I wanted to remember. Yes, a state change or a pattern interrupt. Absolutely. Yes. And it's wonderful if people have panic attacks. So if you have a panic attack, if you're driving, you want to pull over definitely, and you can do this exercise. You can evoke your angels if you want. If you believe in that, you can, you could surround yourself with a protective light, but then you can do this sensory exercise. I do it. Sometimes I have this heart thing that goes, blah, blah, blah. It's just a, genetic thing. My sister and I both have it. And when it happens, I get scared a little bit. And so I'll just go, it's okay. And then I go to my senses and I'm like, I can see, I can hear, I can taste, I can smell, and I can feel my butt in the chair. And I do it again. I keep doing it until I'm completely calm. And you can do it with your breath. I can feel myself breathing. I can feel myself in the chair. I can feel my feet on the floor. I can see the light. I can hear the sounds. I can hear the fountain outside. I can smell. And it's a wonderful activity. See, it just calms you down right away.
Yeah, by the third one, you're like you're getting me a little too calm.
Uh-oh.
I know, right?
No.
I know. But you know what it does, just watching you do it, is it's getting you back into the state of the present moment and in the now. Because I know for me, the only time that I experience fear and anxiety is if I'm ruminating over the past that I can't change, or I'm projecting an unknown thing in the future. When I'm in the present, I'm fine. I'm taken care of. I'm peaceful. So what I see that doing, I never even thought about it, but when you anchor with the senses, you put yourself in the present. It's a way of getting your present focus when there's no stress and anxiety when you're in the now. It's impossible to be present and to be in fear at the same time. Am I right?
Exactly. Absolutely right. You said it so
High five.
well. High five.
Okay, excellent. I learned from you. Everything I learned,
Pat on your
I learned
back.
from you. Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it goes back to my favorite quote by Einstein that you can't solve a problem from the consciousness that created it. So when people out there, you lost your job and you're experiencing fear about money, thinking and worrying about not having money doesn't give you more productivity or focus to get your butt in gear.
Yes,
But
and my favorite quote is, worry is like a rocking chair. It goes back and forth and doesn't go anywhere. I always think about that. It's my favorite quote. And so I think when I'm worrying, I'm like, why am I wasting time on this when I could be, that worry that I just spent 20 or 30 minutes doing, I could be spending on a plan of how to get money. So that worrying thing is an incredible waste of time. It's like a rocking chair. It just goes back and forth and doesn't move from that same place. You're just going back and forth. It's such a waste of time.
one of my other mentors, who you know, Lamore, says,
Yeah.
"Are you going to be a warrior or a worrier?"
Oh, I like
warrior.
that. I'm a
I'm
warrior.
a warrior. I'm a warrior. So I know that you also have strategies with self-talk, and I just observing you, I could hear you say, "Oh, that's interesting," but self-talk is something that is so powerful in shifting that negativity away. Can you talk more about how you use self-talk and how that can help
Yes.
people?
Well, I have usually a diagram from this. Actually, I think the diagram's in my book, but I will explain the diagram. I don't know which page it is, and I know I probably should have had it set for it.
I can look for it for you. Oh my God, your book is all highlighted and underlined. This is a freaking good book, I'm telling you.
It's the EMT, but I should have had it on there, but I don't know. Anyway, I'll talk about it while you look for it. Okay, so how we manage our negative self-talk. We have to think of ourselves as multi-dimensional beings, meaning we're not one-dimensional. We're actually more like 3 or 4-dimensional. There's 2 adult parts, one being the sabotager, which is the negative part, and the other adult part being the healthy self. So with every negative, there's always a positive. So we have a positive adult part, which is the healthy self or higher self, which is all the logic and all the part that wants us to do well, and it talks with us and it calms us down. And then because of contrast, like we talked about before, there's the sabotager, right? So we have the healthy self and we have the sabotager, right? The sabotager talks at us. It's the negative voice of maybe a parent in our life, or sometimes it's some negative voice from maybe a sibling or somebody in the church or a neighbor, or somebody from our childhood it can be. So that negative voice, like we call it the little man on our shoulder, right? It's that voice that pulls us down and criticizes us. We all have this, okay? This voice never goes away, but we can shrink it down. We could shrink it down to barely a peep, but it will always be there, because with negative, we always have to have positive. But what we want to do is we want to build up this healthy self. So that's the 2 parts. Okay, there's 2 more parts. Then we have the emotional self, which is all our emotions and all our needs, and it's more of the child part of us. It's all of our past experience is that we remember that's held in this part of us, okay? So then we have the ego part, which is kind of next to that part. And that part is the part that compares and competes. So that part looks around the world and says, well, I'm better than that person. Ooh, I'm not as good as that person. Ooh, that person's better than me. Oh, I'm not
Or
as good as
I
that.
should be better than I am now, because oftentimes we
Yes.
compete with our own selves.
Yes, and you compete with yourself. So it's the ego is not our amigo, as Deborah says.
It's our enemigo.
Yes, our ego is not our amigo. That ego part of us wants to bring us down too. It wants us to, crash and burn. So what we want to do is we want the healthy self to start talking and helping this emotional self that has all our feelings and all our emotions and all our needs and has all our experiences. So the reason why I'm telling you about this 4-dimensional world that we have, it's our committee. It's what we carry around with us all the time. And the important thing is we have to learn how to manage this. We have to manage these 4 parts. We are a conglomeration of parts. And that's why sometimes we feel crazy, right?
Oh, it's
Because
like
there's
having
these,
a company where you have to manage staff.
exactly, we have these staff in our head and in our psychic world, and we need to manage it. And I'll give you an example of this. You get up in the morning, right? Some people wake to alarms. I don't, but well, if I have to get up earlier than I want to. But okay, the alarm goes off, and there's a part of you that goes, oh, do we have to get up? And it's like, can I sleep more? Okay, that's more of the emotional self. It's the needs part. It's the emotional part. Then the healthy self chimes in and says, yes, we need to get up because we have to do this, this, and this. And so there's some dialogue. The saboteur is like, yeah, let's just go back to bed. Who cares? Who cares if we get in trouble? And the emotion, yeah, let's go back to bed. Okay, then the healthy self says, no, we're going to get in trouble. We can't do that. Let's get up. And so you get out of bed. So that's the committee at work. Okay, then you come to the breakfast table, and maybe the emotional self wants, I don't know, Fruit Loops. And you're like, no, we can't have Fruit Loops. That's a lot of sugar. I think it would be better if we have maybe 2 eggs and a piece of wheat toast and some fruit. Maybe that would be better. And you're like, no, I want Fruit Loops. Right. And so then there's some kind of dialogue about. So again, we have this committee, and it influences our choices, our thoughts, our actions, and we have to learn the different parts of us and how to manage that.
And this is what Anthony Robbins talks about in strategy.
Yes.
Basic NLP, which is based on psychological principles, Virginia Satir and everybody, Erickson, saying that everything we do, from how we get up in the morning to how we eat to how productive to how successful to how much money we can make, is based on our strategies. First we do this, then we do this, but it's all that mindset. And I used to really focus on my thoughts, but I realized what took me out wasn't my thoughts. It was the emotions. And that's why what you're saying is so powerful, which I have highlighted here in the book. It's Emotional Management Technique, EMT.
Yes. Which page is it on?
It's on page, it's 82 and 83. I don't see a chart, but it has, what I love about this book, let me just plug the book for a minute.
Yeah.
The Cinderella System is not just, if you're in a relationship, it'll help you make your relationship better. And it's like 3 pages and then exercises. So it's like having Cindy as a coach with the step-by-step techniques. And you can order the book. Her website is www.drcbrown.com and get a copy of it. And I love this book. I've had this book for years, girl. And now I'm going to take it out and reread this chapter because this EMT technique is so important. It goes back to emotional intelligence.
Yes, and integration. The integration is so important. Just what you just said, Deborah. It's that you used to just lead with your mind, and a lot of people do that. They lead with the mind, but the problem is the emotion has us doing or not doing things. So we have to check in with that emotional self. It doesn't mean the emotional self is always going to direct us, right? Because I'm not, maybe my emotional self wants, Sour Patch Kids like every day. And I know that's not good for me. So I'm not going to let my emotional self do that. Maybe my emotional self just wants to go to the beach all day, but that wouldn't be good for my business. So I'm not going to always do what my emotional self want, but I do consider it. And then what I do is I talk with that person. That's where the self-talk comes in. I'm always communicating with my parts. So today, as I was getting ready for the interview, it's like my emotional self, which is my needs, said, Cindy, we're hungry. We need to eat something. We haven't eaten for a while. We're a little shaky. Basically, Mom, get me a bar. And so, I pulled out a bar and started eating it because that part of me told me I needed something to eat because I was shaky. Okay, the working part of me was just working. But then the healthy self said, oh, you're telling me you need to eat. The healthy self went and got the bar. And, that's the part of me that reached out, right? The saboteur is like, yeah, whatever, but again, it's being conscious of the different parts, what you need, and then from the healthy self deciding what you're going to choose to do, the strategies again, what is the best strategy? And you want to think of that from the healthy self because it's the wisest and the most mature. You don't want to always decide what the emotional self wants because it's an immature self and it's gonna choose things like a child and it doesn't always know the best. But sometimes when your child wants a little love, you want to say, you want love? What can I do to give you love? Or would you like, so and so to love you? And it's a teaching process. It's a
And
teaching
what
process.
what I've learned from you and what I hear you saying is that it's the acknowledgement of the emotional self that creates a healthy and a successful mindset, that integration of thought and emotions. Because when you ignore it, and I know my book, Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, my addiction was doing too much. I thought if I just go full speed ahead like a rocket ship, without a cause, then, I just won't have to feel it, not knowing that one day I would crash and burn. And I would take me a long time to get back up. And so when we acknowledge it, and you talk about this, I want to talk more about it, is self-care. Because self-care is directly correlated with self-confidence. We can't be a confident person and be ignoring our needs. Can you talk about the importance of self-care?
Oh my God, I'm telling you, if I teach anything, self-care. For me, it's been the number one thing that I have done, especially since my mom and dad died. When my mom died in 2007, and then my dad took his life in 2009, that year and some was probably the most stressful time in my life. And I learned to say no. I learned to treat myself with so much love. And that's when I really realized how important it was, because I was really angry because I was sad. And the best thing for anger is to look at yourself and find out what you need. I'm not saying just because you want 100 Twinkies and that would make you happy, and and you think that's not self-care, but it's a balance of understanding what's healthy for you, what makes you happy. Like yesterday, what was yesterday? The day before, I had a lot of work to do, but I know my emotional support, part of my self-care was to go outside, because I think I stayed in on Saturday. And so, we went to Cyclovia, and we rode our bikes, and we danced. And that was so part of my self-care, because the adult part of me wanted to just stay home and work, right?
My adult will have me working 24 hours a day.
I know, exactly. So again, it was listening to that, emotional self part of me. And the self-care was, come on, Mom, can't we get outside? It's such a beautiful day. Let's just go out for a couple hours. Can't we do some of that later? And I listened to that. I'm like, yeah, let's go out for a couple hours. And you and I both set like a goal, and we decided we'd only stay out for a couple hours. And that was the healthy choice, right? So the self-talk was, this would be good for. The self-care was, this is one thing, being outdoors makes me really happy, and it's a healthy choice for me on the weekends, because I'm indoors all week working with clients or on the computer working on my business. And so self-care. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know what to do. You know why? Because you haven't spent the time to really think. A lot of women, and I want to speak to you guys right now, because you're all super women out there. You're doing 100 things, and maybe you're a single parent, or maybe you do have a partner, but they're not really contributing. You feel like you have to do it all by yourself. And if I had you on the screen like Periscope, I would say everybody put a thumbs up that's dealing with this, because a lot of women deal with this. It's so important to take that time to yourself, because you're just going to be cranky, and you're going to be angry, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to abuse yourself, and you're going to abuse your children, and you're going to, just not be healthy. You're going to age at a very rapid pace.
Self-care is not selfish. Self-care allows you to be better for everyone.
Yes. And it's so important to take that time to find out. I have people write down a happy list, 10 things that make them happy. I'll tell you mine. One of them. I
was just going to say, let's hear yours.
Yeah. So it used to be when I was pretty depressed around that time. And one of the things that was on my list is just get up and take a shower. Like, that's amazing sometimes. When you're in a bad place, just getting up and taking a shower is huge. That's not so much on my list because I'm not in that place now, but I mean, I like a shower, definitely. So a shower would be, for me, this, sitting by the pool is like the thing I do. It's like my happy camp. I like to sit by the pool. I like to go swimming. I like to read. I just like, because where my pool is, the trees are very big, and I sit out there and I just stare at the trees, and it's very comforting. So sometimes I do my work out there on Fridays. So that the pool is, reading, hiking. I like to do my happy program on hiking, and I like to commune with the nature. I have squirrels outside my house, and I talk to them and feed them. So communing with nature, or the birds, or things like that, going to the beach. Sushi is one of my favorite things. I love sushi. So, treating myself to a nice dinner, exercising, being with friends, doing karaoke or dancing or something like that is a part of my happy program. Sometimes it's buying things, but that you can get into trouble with that. So I usually, give myself a budget. Yesterday I went out and bought a couple things, but so I have to watch that because, sometimes things on our happy program can be addictions. Like people can use food to reward. We have to be careful with that. We have to be careful that addictions, part of our happy program, aren't unhealthy for us because
it's so awesome that you talked about the happiness. When I was at one of my points of the lowest low, I actually had to have my happy list on a poster board on my wall to get out of bed. Like it was literally facing my wall. And, for me, it was like meditation, prayer, kissing was on the list. Whether I was getting a kiss or not, it was still on the list. Thinking about kissing. So you know what I mean? But
yeah, sometimes we have to do that. I think that's good for people.
Sometimes the brain doesn't know the difference, right?
Exactly.
So suggestions for people. So she gave you the 5 steps before, and what you gave us also the self-care was important, but also one of the things that I keep hearing you saying, and I want to reiterate it because it's so important, everything that you're talking about has to do with presence and awareness.
Yes.
And I know
intentional action.
And I feel and I know that people in society with technology, and I love it. I have my iPad and my iPhone right here. Thank you, Apple. I love you, Google, too. I'm a Googlera. But we're so attached to technology. How can people be present to their emotions, to their needs, to their self-care when we're so disconnected by technology?
Well, it has to be part of your strategy of self-care is to disconnect. I just did, I don't know if some of you on here follow me on Periscope, follow me at Dr. Cindy Brown on Periscope. I did a scope the other night on sleep problems. What are some of the things we need to do to prevent sleep problems? And the number one thing is power down 30 to 45 minutes before you go to bed and drop the lights, because the light that's emitted from technology actually affects our sleep. So we need to make sure during the day that we unplug, that we disconnect from technology, because the studies are going to be out in a few years how much technology, how much radiation from technology affects us.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 10 years since the internet, was on, or maybe a little bit longer. So the studies aren't out how much this technology being tuned in and plugged in, half the day. So I would suggest that people really take the time to go away from technology and have times where they put their phones away and they disconnect and they, use paper and pen and write things down or meditate and just think and use your brain rather than be, have your face and who's texting me and who's on Facebook and who's this. And I mean, we're so inundated with this, instant gratification, and it's stimulating that pleasure part of our brain. So it's like we're constantly eating sugar all day long, because that's the way our brain's been lighting up. We need a break from that.
Did they like my post? Did they share my post? Did they like my picture? Did they not like my picture?
Did that guy text me back? Did whatever. I mean, I know I was on it all day long waiting for emails and people to respond. I had so many correspondence today, and it's like, oh my God, tonight after this, after I do my Periscope, I'm going to unplug. I need to be away from it and have that, commute, sit on my porch and listen to the birds, or listen to my heartbeat, or listen to my breath, or commune with nature or God or spirit. It's so important. We all used to be so much more connected to the earth and ground, and it's sad. It's good and I don't want to say good and bad, but there's the contrast again. There's great things about technology, and we've definitely been connected, but there's a lot of disconnect in it as well.
And one of the things that I hear people saying, somebody just texted me and said they're having awe moments listening to the interview. Oh, we love you. We're so glad you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it just as much as you are.
I am too. I didn't know we got along so well, Deborah.
I know. We should hang out. We should hang out, Dr. Cindy Brown.
Let's hang out.
We've been friends for like 20 years, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that.
Since
But
we were 10 years old.
exactly, playing on the playground together. So one of the things, because I'm very intuitive and psychic, and I hear somebody's question, so I'm going to ask it for them. Somebody wants to know that they're scared to slow down. They think when they slow down and they get still and they turn off the computer and they turn off the cell phone, that there's going to be a tremendous amount of overwhelming sadness and that it's just going to not stop and they don't know how to deal with it. Can you give them advice of how to give them permission and to take away the fear of just being still and present?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because a lot of people say that when I ask them to kind of do that in my office, there are a lot of times there's resistance. People do have this belief or fear that if I do let this stuff out that I've been pushing down, that I won't be able to stop. And it's absolutely not true because I've been doing this a long time, and everybody that I've worked with that I've helped let go and let it out, there's been a stopping point. Otherwise, my office would be, floating somewhere, and it'd be so filled up.
You've been in private practice for like decades, right?
Yes, yeah.
Multiple clients. So, yeah. I mean, people do not get overwhelmed with the feelings.
No, but it is uncomfortable. Yeah, it is challenging for some people when they, just like anything, when you first got on a bicycle, it felt weird. When you first swam in water, you got to find it in your body. When anybody that does snow skiing or any kind of sport, things are awkward sometimes. When you first get on a horse, you got to find that in here. So if you've repressed your feelings and you've never learned how to feel your feelings, it's gonna feel a little awkward. So this is where the self-talk comes in. This is when the self-talk to the emotional self. So the healthy self needs to help the emotional self feel okay. So the emotional self says, I'm not safe feeling my feelings. And so you can do this inside. You can say to the emotional self, first, you want to validate the feelings. I can tell this is scary for you. I know you haven't been able to do this before, but I'm here for you. And I want you to be able to have the feeling that your feelings are okay. And it's okay right now to let them go. I'm going to cry just saying this.
Yeah.
That it's okay. You can let your feelings go, that I'm here for you. So you're going to say that to yourself. You're going to say, I'm here for you, and it's okay. And if you need to do this with a therapist or a coach, your coach can do this with you. Just make sure you go with somebody that knows how to do this, that has done it themselves.
So to me, it's like you're being the loving parent that you may not have had.
Yes.
Or that you may have had if you're
Yes. Yeah, so you're going to validate. You're going to say, it's okay to let go. It's okay. You can cry right now. I can handle it. And you're going to maybe you're going to let a tear out. And then you're going to just, okay, well, that was okay. I didn't die. I let a tear out. That's what people do in my office. They just kind of start. What I have people do in my office, which is a really interesting exercise when they have a lot of feelings. I had a guy do it today, is I have them write a letter to somebody that they're either angry or sad or frustrated. And I did this myself in my own healing work. I remember writing a letter to my father and how, angry. I remember writing a letter to my mom and telling her how, disappointed I was. And I did it in the office. I didn't have my mom there, but I metaphorically put her in the chair. It's a Carl Jung technique. It's a Jungian technique, Carl Jung, Jung, if you want to look that up. And it's called empty chair technique. And it's a way of letting out your feelings. So you can put your symbolic father in the chair, a symbolic, mother in the chair, and you can actually read this letter. I didn't like when you did this. I hated when you did this. I wish you'd done that. I didn't like when you did this. And you basically just do it. And I have people do this in my office. And a lot of times they just start, and I have them read it, do it extemporaneously without the script, and that's when the feelings come out. And I just sit there, and what I usually do is I bow my head and I just let them have space, and then I encourage them, keep going, you're doing a good job. And then they keep doing it, and they go, and I didn't like this, and I didn't like that, and it hurt me when you did this, and I wish you'd done that. And it just comes out, and it's a very safe place, and it's really, really therapeutic. You can do it with a partner, you can do it with an ex-wife or husband or a boyfriend or a child, or, you know, some people have even had miscarriages or abortions, and they've done it with their unborn child, or they've done it with a boss, or they've done it with a neighbor, or, you know.
It is so powerful. I did it with my coach. I had a relationship that didn't have closure, and I was able to have closure with him, just talking it through with him. And it was just so, so powerful.
Yes, because a lot of our self-talk, now it's coming back full circle to what we started talking about, a lot of our self-talk, the anger that we say toward ourselves, is really because we're angry at somebody else that we haven't expressed. So we could be angry.
Wait, say that again. Say that again. Rewind.
Okay, so I'll use myself as an example. My negative self-talk was really because I was so angry at my father, the way he treated me.
So you projected it on yourself.
So I projected it on other people, and I projected it on myself. So when I started doing my own healing work, my own empty chair, my own, you know, punching bag work, all of that started going away because I was getting it out. And then it wasn't coming back at myself, because I was really angry as at him, but it was coming back at myself. It was like his voice was turned inside, in toward myself. But as I started saying how much I didn't like that he worked so much, and that he, you know, the biggest thing, my impact on me was my father's frustration. My mom, because she was a prescription drug addict, she was not, I would say she was sufficient 50% of the time. So my dad had to make up for it. So he was really mad because he worked. My mother didn't work because she couldn't. And he had to take over all the burden plus help us kids. And so he was always resentful when he had to take care of us. And I didn't know that as a kid, but I always felt like I was a burden. You know, he was always angry that he had to come out and help us, or had to come out and cook us food or something because my mom couldn't do it. And I always felt like, you know, I was a burden. And then I felt no good. And I felt, and I had learning disabilities at the time. And so when he would try to help me with my homework, I would feel stupid because he was mad at me. And so all that stuff then got turned in on me, because I felt like I was bad and wrong and no good because of the way my father treated me, not intentionally, just because he was so frustrated.
And they say hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah, so here I had a lot of anger at the time, and had anger in my marriage. And, you know, a lot of my frustration came out at my husband because I hadn't worked it out when I got married. You know, and it was after my marriage that I started really working on, wow, I was just spewing all of that on him when it really was stuff I hadn't worked out in myself.
Yeah, and the powerful part about everything that Cindy is suggesting, because some people think, oh, I don't want to take the time to do the inner work, I'll just get over it, but it doesn't go away. And the more you do your inner work, the more powerful you're going to be in your career. I know this from experience, in your business, in your finances, in your health, in your vitality. If you're not where you want in your money, if you're not where you want in your weight, because our inner world creates our outer world, when you follow the steps that Dr. Cindy is saying, you are going to see improved results. And that's one of the reasons I started Transformational Tuesday, because I know it's an inside job. And we need to have these tools. And so, Cindy, I want you to give them an opportunity to get some of the tools, because we have to close out. I know this time is
so much fun.
I know, it's so much fun. But how can they stay in touch with you? How can they get your book? Where are you in the community, so that they can continue to learn, to grow, and to transform?
Well, one of the great ways you can continue to connect with me is on Periscope. If you don't know about the app, Periscope is an app on both Android and iPhone, and you can go to your apps and find that. And
keep holding that up. Keep holding that up.
Oh, okay. I can't keep holding it up. You can find me at Dr. Cindy Brown on Periscope, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google Plus, and on LinkedIn. You said
LinkedIn, it's just Cindy Brown without.
Yeah, on LinkedIn it's just Cindy Brown for some reason. I don't know how that happened, but I'll be fixing that. But you can definitely connect with me if you are interested in coming in for a session. You can fill out my contact form on my website, which is drcbrown.com. There's on the Contact Us tab, you can fill out that form and just tell me what type of things you'd like to work on and your availability. And if you have insurance, you can put that in there as well. And
you're in Culver City.
I'm in Culver City, but I also do Skype sessions, and I also do phone sessions.
Yes,
and
which are just as powerful.
email sessions.
Just as powerful.
Yes, just as powerful through Skype or FaceTime. So you can connect with me that way. Let's see, what else? But I do Periscope each night. I always do a topic every night. You can catch the replays on there or through Catch, K-A-T-C-H. You can look up Dr. Cindy Brown and you can find some of my past. And I'm about ready to put them on my YouTube channel. I haven't yet, because there's a lot of good ones that came in the past and I have to gather them, and I'm going to have your assistant help me with that.
Yes, I will definitely. And I just want to thank you, because like Cindy has nonstop clients that I've been wanting to have her on Transformational Tuesday, but I didn't want to take her time away. So I really appreciate your time. I know people have been texting me, and I'm sure when I get on my social media, they're going to just be thanking you. So on their behalf, I want to thank you for these great, valuable tools. If you were to summarize what you shared with us, can you just put it together in a nice little bow so that people can have concrete steps to take with them?
Yes, the most important thing is to acknowledge and be conscious and aware without judgment. Know that you're a human being and this is a working planet. We're all here to learn and grow. So to really stop the judgment and watch out through what you're expecting of yourself, because it's through unmet expectations that we get angry. So acknowledge, become conscious and aware, make a decision to change the channel, do something different, refocus, do something different, self-talk, do something good for your life, be on the happy program as much as you can, work with a therapist or coach if you need extra support. You don't have to do it alone. Contact Deborah, contact me, contact a therapist in your area through Psychology Today or through your insurance plan. But you don't have to do it alone. If you think I don't know how to do this on my own, go get help. Definitely call me and let me know how I can support you. But I'm definitely here for you to support you in doing this.
And I love that you said you don't have to do it alone, because when you're depressed or anxious or even fearful or worried, it's very isolating. And just to know that there's somebody out there, and it's a sign of courage, not a sign of weakness, to ask for help.
Yes.
Trust me, I have a team. I have like 5 people that I have as counselors and coaches and mentors and spiritual advisors that help and guide.
Put your mask on first. Take care of yourself first so that you can be. Yes, be on the happy program first so that you can be of service. You've got to take care of yourself first. Superwoman can't do it all. We have to reach out, and we have to acknowledge that we need help and we need personal time in order to be our greatest self. Your results are what you are. So look at your results. If that's what you don't want, then do something different.
Exactly. So I want to thank you all for joining me, Deborah Darris, your host of Transformational Tuesday, and Deb TV, Dynamic, Empowered, and Bold. And every week we are here with another amazing expert to be able to support you, empower you, and give you strategies to transform your life. I am a motivational speaker and marketing consultant. You can check out my website, deborahdarris.com, and get a free meditation MP3 that will be downloaded right to your email, and you will get invitations for my many free live events. I'd love to see you and meet you in person. Thank you so much for joining us. Please share this replay with your friend. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and share it out in your social media. Let's get Dr. Cindy Brown's amazing strategies and tools out to the world, because I believe absolutely that with the power of synergy, anything is possible. Ciao for now. Bye. Bye, Cindy. Thank you.